After an incident with Spoiler, Phyllis loses it on Nick and Summer eventually comes around. Nick sees Summer after she returns from her honeymoon at Noah's club. When he asks Summer why she seems so down, she says that Diane has been causing more trouble. Nick offers assistance, but she declines, saying that she and Kyle have it covered. Since that's the case, he'll merely send her good vibes. The way Summer sees it, they'll need it. Connective tissue. At the society event, Ashley had a flashback of her final discussion with Tucker concerning Diane. Just as she is thinking about how he had assured her that his link to Diane was entirely benign, he appears. After hearing that Ashley had been thinking of him, he reached for his chest. When I stepped in, you seemed completely transfixed, so what was it about me that was so fascinating to you? When we last left Ashley, she was weighing whether or not to believe anything he says. Tucker probes more to see if she's reached a decision. Yes, she has done that. After discovering that Diane has been lying about her stay in Los Angeles, Phyllis tracks down Jack in Crimson Lights and begs him to let her bask in the glory of her vindication. Jack is dissatisfied with both Diane and Phyllis. There's no reason for you to feel thrilled about this. He goes off on her, saying that she should have considered what this would mean for Kyle and Harrison. Phyllis visited the house and consoled Kyle, but the truth has since been revealed. If only they had listened to her, this whole mess could have been avoided. Jack informs her that she insisted he give Kyle autonomy with Diane. Phyllis, anticipating this turn of events, has said that she must leave town before it's too late for everyone involved. She is seeking his frank assessment of whether he considers her to be a nasty person who is destructive and vengeful by nature. Nick is nervous about upsetting her. He assumes Diane is involved. Phyllis, feeling emotional, insists that she will not participate. Nick is concerned for her and Summer's safety. I don't know, Phyllis shook her head. However, I am aware of the fact that I am sick and tired of being held responsible for everything that goes wrong. Nick, please don't think I'm the bad guy here. I swear to God, I'm not the villain here. She cries out, it's starting to get to me. Jack is caught off guard when he sees Diane at his residence. She claims that Kyle invited her and they laid everything out on the table. She stayed behind to check on Harrison, who was still sleeping when he departed. Jack must now return to his duties. Diane is taken aback that he isn't interested in hearing how things turned out between him and Kyle. Diane argued that she was powerless to refuse Tucker's blackmail and that she thus had to participate. Kyle admits that he dangled a sizable carrot in front of her while he was at it. Diane admits that he seemed to be offering her the perfect method to open the door to Jack and to him when she informed him about Ali. Kyle claims she conspired with Tucker and lied to him about it, despite being probed about a possible relationship between the two in Los Angeles. This is a huge white lie. Diane wishes she'd been honest sooner, but she didn't mean any harm. She betrayed Kyle's trust, and that's all he knows about it. I really don't know if things can go back to how they were. Kyle goes on a rant about how he is starting to wonder whether he made a mistake by giving her another chance. Diane tells him she finally told the truth because she could not keep it a secret any longer. If she simply confesses out of fear that someone like Nikki or Phyllis will expose her, Kyle informs her that it doesn't matter. Jack goes off at Crimson Lights, saying that he and Phyllis should stop trying to talk about Diane since it's pointless. She should reflect on her actions, he advises. Even after assuring her daughter that she would stop prying into her mother's past, Diane continued to stand in her way and investigate her family history from the moment she arrived. Phyllis expresses shock that she is still being portrayed as the villain, and she reminds him that her confession came about because she was so close to discovering Diane's truth. The group would have been better off, Jack muses, if she hadn't done it. Phyllis wonders aloud if they've gone through the looking glass and found themselves in the past. I refuse to accept that this is actually taking place. I don't see why I'm being made to feel bad when all I want to do is help people. The two of them realize there's a lot more to this than that, and it's making Jack very angry. He warns Phyllis that his son and grandson will suffer greatly if Diane leaves now, saying that heroes don't boast. Phyllis understands that, but she also knows that any harm that comes to them is Diane's fault, not hers. She has faith that Kyle will have a clearer perspective than his father. Jack puts on his coat and heads out as soon as Summer arrives. Ashley thinks it's quite suspicious that Tucker is working with Diane at society. According to Tucker, they were in a special position to aid one another. In retrospect, she sees the logic in it. I have faith in you. Tucker is relieved to hear this, and ecstatic when Ashley confirms his presence in her thoughts. However, he is concerned that it may be too soon for her to make such a dramatic change. Phyllis at Crimson Lights cannot believe that Jack is willing to continue making exceptions for Diane. Summer says that he acted similarly toward her. Phyllis is fuming by Diane's use of Kyle as a bargaining chip, and she insists she has never done anything like as horrible. She is curious as to whether Summer still considers it a good idea to have the lady around. Summer desperately wanted Kyle to be at peace, but from where she is currently, her mother is probably right. As the saying goes, Diane has to go. Phyllis visits Noah's nightclub, where she is greeted by Nick. She can't believe he's hanging around during the day. He just isn't in the mood to work today. Neither is she. Phyllis takes a seat and says she has to run an idea by him. Naturally, Nick chimes in. What's the hot issue right now? To which Phyllis responds, me. There are, as we all know, many hidden things. As usual, Jack sneers, you've got it all figured out. Oh my God, Phyllis exclaims in shock. Diane has you completely captivated, hasn't she? Summer is at Noah's club, and she's praying that Nick has finally broken up with Sally Spectra. He frowns and reassures her that she should not worry about him as he is the parent. Summer says that Sally can't be relied on since she's too erratic. Nick informs her that he and Sally are now on a break from their work at Newman Media, and that both Sally and Chloe have left their positions there. According to her, right now, she just doesn't feel like hanging out with me. As Summer says, that's fantastic. Diane hopes Kyle will understand why she had to keep what occurred in Los Angeles a secret when she tells him about it at the Abbott home. She shares with him the background on how she is related to Jeremy Stark and Tucker. In Jack's opinion, his son is the best person to tell him this. Diane inquires as to their present location. To be honest, Jack isn't sure and doesn't feel like talking about it right now. In any case, he leaves. Summer meets Kyle at Jabot and tells him that she overheard Jack and Phyllis having a heated argument. She tries to forewarn Kyle that her mother will continue to pursue Diane despite the family's difficulties. Kyle is surprised that their good moods didn't endure longer than a day. He shares that he'd spoken with his mom, who offered the typical explanations. Summer is interested in his mood and desires. The events of Diane's trip to Los Angeles are discussed between Kyle and Summer. Summer claims she committed several offenses, but Kyle insists she is innocent and only ran away because she missed her family. Now I see it. Summer is aware of his desire to forget everything that has happened so they can get back to how things were, but as his wife, she feels obligated to inform him that she does not believe they can risk trusting her again. Harrison at the Abbott estate visits Diane in the basement to report that he isn't feeling well. She runs her hands over his head. You have a fever and you look like hell. Ashley labels Tucker a malcontent at the society meeting. Perhaps she is trying to entice him, he thinks. Ashley is concerned that he may be beginning to question his natural animal magnetism. Tucker speculates that she may be intending to utilize his attraction to her to figure out his true motives. Ashlyn shrugs and wonders, what if I was? She makes the point that he shouldn't be embarrassed if he has nothing to conceal. Tucker takes this as an opportunity to demonstrate his mettle and responds, challenge accepted. They raise a glass in a toast.